Last year at Noche UFC, Merab Dvalishvili beat Sean O'Malley. He became the bantamweight champion of the world. Around that same time, Kayla Harrison beat Ketlen Vieira to become the #1 contender in the women's bantamweight division. UFC 316 has 2 title fights. We have a rematch, and then we have an Olympic gold medalist trying to get her first UFC belt. My name is Angelo. This is We Want Picks, and I'm going to break down the entire UFC 316 fight card, giving you my picks, predictions, and bets. But before we look at UFC 316, let's look at the beautiful lineup that we have coming up the next month. We have UFC 316. In a couple of weeks, we have UFC 317, and in between, we have UFC Atlanta and UFC Baku. And you might be saying, Angelo, why the hell are you talking about these other events? Well, that's because on our website, WeWantPicks.com, we have picks and bets and tools. We have an artificial intelligence. We have 4 different cappers giving you their picks and bets. And if you go to the website, you can get access to all of that for all of these events. We're built out for the future. There are UFC 317 bets on the board right now. UFC Atlanta bets, UFC Baku bets on the board right now. You can check it all out. Just go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. It's $10. That is $2.50 for access for each one of these cards. WeWantPicks.com. This is normally where I would talk about last night. I would sit here and say, before we look forward, let's look back. And then I would mention a few things about the fights that just happened. But I'm not filming this on Sunday morning. I am filming this on Saturday morning. I have not seen UFC Vegas 107 just yet. And that's because my birthday is in a couple of days. So this weekend, on Saturday, I'm celebrating. We have a whole bunch of people coming over. I will be drinking nonstop, probably from about noon till midnight. I don't know. I'm just going to be throwing back high noons, playing Can Jam, enjoying life. I cannot expect myself to be in any condition Sunday morning to film the video I normally film on Sunday morning. And because I'm prepared Ange, and I'm professional Ange, and I'm reliable Ange, I'm going to film this ahead of time. So instead of talking about what happened at UFC Vegas 107, because I quite literally do not know, I will tell you that I'm going to be at UFC 317. My wife and I, not Jacob, my actual wife, will be heading out to Las Vegas. We're going to get in on Thursday. We're probably going to check out the weigh-ins and the press conference. And then we're actually flying home Saturday morning. I will be watching UFC 317 at home, not in Las Vegas for random circumstances I don't feel like talking about. But the wife and I will be there for a few days. I'll be going to the UFC X Convention Center, and we're going to enjoy Vegas on her side, which is like expensive meals and bullshit, and then Vegas on my side, which is fight stuff. If you see me, come say hi. I'll buy you a beer. We did this last year. A whole bunch of you came up, said hello. Some of you wanted the beer, some of you didn't. Come say hi, and don't embarrass me in front of my wife, okay? She already is like mean as shit. The last thing I need is her to be mean as shit because she saw you being mean. I need, like, you guys need to set the example. Like, Angelo, oh my God, you're so tall and handsome. And then she could be like, I guess he is. But women are the worst. Be nice to me in front of my wife. But I will be at UFC 317. I think we're staying at the Cosmo, not New York, but we'll be wandering around. If you see us, say hi. I will be at the UFC X Convention Center. But back to the promo. I mentioned, look at these 4 delicious fight cards coming up. You can get picks and bets and tools for all of them on the website. Well, one of those tools is the Fight Simulator. This simulates every single fight in the card 100,000 times, and it gives you the outputs. Not only does it give you the wins and losses, it'll also give you the outputs for how many strikes these people are landing in their wins and losses, takedowns, all sorts of data and insight that you could use on your favorite sportsbook or to build a DraftKings fantasy lineup. We have a tape index. We got not hundreds, but we got probably 70 to 80 emails the other day saying, what happened to all the fights on ESPN? Well, ESPN happened to delete thousands of historical UFC fights. I don't know if they're cleaning up server space or if they're negotiating the hard way with the UFC for their TV deal. But the reality is, finding tape, watching tape, doing your own tape study is getting harder and harder. So we have what we call a tape index. This will give you every fighter on their fight card, their full fight history, the results of those fights, and if it has a little red play button, you click that button, the video pops up, you can watch that actual fight, so you can do your own tape study. You can watch those fights with your own eyes and draw your own conclusions. Tapes Index has been fully updated to account for the fact that ESPN just screwed all of us by deleting those historical videos. We also have a brand new DraftKings optimizer. If you play DraftKings Fantasy and you use an optimizer, well, this one does all of those things, and it's included in premium membership. If you've never done DraftKings Fantasy and you don't even know what an optimizer is, we have the industry-first beginner mode, which will walk you through with logical questions Instead of expecting you to understand the math and the numbers and how it all works, it'll just ask you questions like, who's your most confident favorite on this card? Any underdogs you like? Who do you hate? It'll ask it in better terms than that. You answer those questions, it'll build a lineup for you. Everything I just mentioned, 30 other things I didn't mention because I'm trying to keep these intros shorter and shorter, are available for one package at $10. The UFC 317 card, UFC 316 card, UFC Atlanta, UFC Baku, every single thing is available for that entire month. Top to bottom, start to finish, WeWantPicks.com. Everything we available inside of the app as well. Now I could reshoot that because I said everything and I fumbled, but we're going to keep moving. We're going to move right through this app promo. The app is 100% free. Just go to the App Store, search We Want Picks. Make sure notifications are turned on because when we place bets, you get a push notification to your phone. Big Ange just placed a safety parlay. And if you like it, great. If you don't, at least you saw it before the line went crazy. And finally, there are 2 pay-per-views in this month. If you've never signed up before, today's the day. You're going to get 2 big pay-per-views and 2 really good non-Apex fight nights in between. We have a full month of cards that are not inside of the Apex, and 2 of them are numbered. This is a great little stretch we got going on here. But those 2 pay-per-views will come with vlogs. We film vlogs for pay-per-views just to hang out with the guys. We do all the things. You'll get to experience Las Vegas with me at 3F17. People will come over. We'll cook some good food. 316 is going to be a little weird. You'll see that vlog. But if you want to send something for the vlog, you want us to open up some mail, the address is We Want Picks, P.O. Box 406 in Prosper, Texas, 75078. Let's go ahead and break down this card. I had everything ready to go. I'm a week ahead of you, right? For me to film these videos on Sunday mornings means I've got all the graphics built. This isn't some Tapology bullshit, okay? There is no shortage of random people with a webcam and Tapology that want to just read the screen and break down fights. That's not what you get here. The big man's been doing custom graphics for 4 years. Custom graphics. Look at these fucking graphics. Look at it. First of all, you'll notice that the background is the official UFC background. I don't know how to use Photoshop, but I figured out how to remove the bullshit, get the official UFC background. And this card was a little gray, so I said, let's spruce it up. I went to Sean O'Malley's picture, took the purple from his hair, and that's what you're looking at here. Anyway, in order to make these beautiful custom graphics, I'm a week ahead of time. I got to break down all these fights. I got to build 3 graphics for every fight. We have this one, the one with the opening odds and the current odds, and then the thumbnails. And of course, I got to break down the fights. I had this card ready, done, good to go. And then today, we have 2 new matchups. One of those brand new matchups is Marquel Mederos taking on Mark Choinski. And for a decent pay-per-view event, there is an unusual amount of short notice and last-minute matchups on this card. Like way more than you would expect on a regular fight night, let alone a pay-per-view. But we'll talk about Marquel Mederos. He was supposed to fight last week, but he didn't. We'll talk about why in a second. He's a good striker. He strings together combinations. He throws up some volume. He's insanely comfortable in his fights. He flows really well when he hits that flow state. He is primarily a striker, but he can grapple as well. He's got slick takedowns, good takedown defense, and slick submissions. He's coming off that close win over Austin Hubbard, where he looked decent. He's pretty good, I guess I would say. The defense was great. Perfect little movements to not get tagged up big, but he definitely slowed down as that fight went on. He's taking on Mark Choinski. Mark Choinski was a pretty good wrestler who transitioned to MMA, but in his own words, he was an MMA guy before he was a wrestler, and what makes that interesting is he's wrestled in his entire life. So he was an MMA guy at 7 years old, started wrestling, accomplished a few things from what I can tell, and maybe I'm dead wrong and the internet's wrong. He was a 3-time high school All-American, then he wrestled D3 in college. But what's interesting about his entire dynamic here is not that he doesn't identify as a wrestler, but that if you watch him fight, he doesn't look like a wrestler either. He's at Rufus Fight Sport, that same gym where the Pettis brothers are from, and he fights like a Rufus guy. He's got aggressive striking. He's very creative. If you're expecting him to shoot immediately, you will be wrong. You wouldn't even know that he was a wrestler in half of his fights because of how comfortable he looks striking. And he genuinely looks comfortable. He's not just moving forward, bombing away, being sloppy. He is hitting a flow state. He's putting his hand on the mat and throwing up kicks. Like, this guy is out there doing things like he was always a striker, but that is not really how he started his career. This is a puzzling addition to the UFC 316 card to go because Marquel was supposed to fight Balaji at UFC Vegas 107 last weekend, but he had to pull out. He said in his own words he was sick, which meant he couldn't train, he couldn't eat, he couldn't cut weight, and I can't possibly show up not being 100%. And while I understand that being sick is not the same as being injured, it is a little bizarre that last week you are too sick to do anything, but this week you're fine. And I cannot imagine that even 3 days of severe illness just completely leaves your body and then you're 100% less than a week later. He still has to cut weight. He still has to travel. He still has to prepare for a fist fight. And knowing things like this makes these picks almost impossible. Because how sick was he? Is he better? Is he going to get tired? He got tired in his last fight, and now he's sick. Is he going to get tired even faster in this fight? I have no clue. I just know that 1 week ago, the guy is sick as shit. And now, all of a sudden, I'm ready for war. And if I break this down, assuming that Marquel is healthy, then this is an interesting fight. Markel's a cleaner striker, but Markel's going to take his time and try to be technical, where Mark is going to hit that flow state. He's going to be creative. He's got good pressure, and that could be a problem. The fact that Mark could go to his wrestling could also be very interesting here. My only hesitation to not be all in on Mark is that he doesn't wrestle enough. I could actually see a fight where he's having some success striking, but not enough, and he ends up losing a striking decision where all he needed to do was at least threaten a takedown to try to squeak out a round or two. And I wish I could skip the pick here because the circumstances are not great with Marquel being sick, Mark showing up on short notice. Like, we don't know anything here. But I'm going to grab my nuts, lay them on the table, and I'm just going to pick Mark. Because he is a good wrestler. He is at a good gym. He is well-trained. He looks very confident in the fights that we've seen. And Marquel was too sick. Now he's not sick. And Marquel got taken down twice by Austin Hubbard. Mark's a better wrestler than Austin Hubbard. Like, there's a lot of weird circumstances here. I can't trust the guy that was too sick to fight just a few days ago. So Mark Choinski in his UFC debut will be the pick. We don't have odds yet. They literally just announced this like 4 hours ago. So I don't have odds yet. We're just going to go ahead and ride with the undefeated wrestler who's not sick coming into this fight. Then we have Quillan Salkilld taking on Yanal Ashmouz. This is not, you might be looking at it, oh shit, Angelo accidentally put a 70s porn star in the graphic. And while that's plausible, I mean, I got a lot of browser windows open and I'm just copy pasting like crazy. So it wouldn't be crazy that there wasn't a little Debbie Does Dallas in the wrong tab on Chrome and then that picture ended up in here. That could be possible, but that's not what happened here. This is actually what this fucking dude looks like. This is like, he woke up and was like, yes, perm, mustache, done. Let's get it, girls. So that's Quillan Salkilld for you. Outside of looking like a 70s porn star, he is a good striker. He uses kicks pretty well. He manages range. He works the body. And as soon as you're comfortable striking with him, he will lower his level and take a shot. He is overall pretty well-rounded. He can fight at distance. He can fight in the pocket. He's perfectly fine with an ugly fight as well. But at times, he can chase a finish instead of settling in, which gets him in some precarious positions. He is coming off that knockout win over Angelo in his UFC debut. He's taking on Yanal Ashmouz. This guy's a pretty well-rounded guy. He does a good job adjusting in fights. He'll come out striking first every time. He'll throw heavy. He'll even work in some spinning techniques. And then he'll adjust to wrestling if he's not having the success he expected to. He's got a good enough chin, solid base. He can be heavy on top if he gets a takedown. There's nothing like explicitly amazing about Yanal, but he is strong, he is powerful, and he can grind out wins. He's coming off that grapple-heavy win over the absolute god-awful trash fighter Trevor Peek, where just a tiny bit of technique was enough to get it done. This fight's going to come down entirely, in my opinion, to Quillan's takedown defense. I think on the feet, Quillan's going to have a clear striking advantage. That's going to force Yanal to start shooting early. He's a short guy, and I think he might be able to get to the legs, but as long as Quillan doesn't do some jiu-jitsu nerd bullshit, meaning pull guard, think there's a submission against the cage, as long as he just defends the actual takedown, makes Yanal pay at distance, or even when he tries to shoot a takedown, he should be good here. He should win this fight. Quillan's going to be the pick. I do have some reservations at the 4-1 odds, but I'm going with Salkilld here. So he's going to be the pick. We'll ride. I'm not sure if I'm going to spend the money. And also, how about that Debbie Does Dallas reference? That is the first adult movie I had ever seen. So really just a special place in my heart. I was like, this is what happens in Dallas? Holy shit. And I live in Dallas now, so really had an impact on my life. Then we have Azamat Murzakanov taking on Brendson Ribeiro. Azamat Murzakanov is one of these big, giant, undefeated guys, and 2025 has been a wild year for undefeated prospects. But I think at this point, Azamat, at 36-year-old, isn't quite like the untested 24-year-old that has been blowing it in the UFC as of late. But Azamat Murzakanov is not a big guy either, especially at this weight class. But he is going to come forward. He does have legit power. He's fast, and he is heavy-handed. He has a knockdown in all 5 of his UFC fights. He's a good wrestler. He's got solid ground and pound, but his hands are so good that you don't really see the wrestling very often. He's coming off that knockout win over Alonzo Menefield, where he looked sharp, but he was blasted in the second round. He's taking on Brendson Ribeiro. Brendson Ribeiro is an offensive striker. He's got solid grappling. He likes to move forward. He likes to get his hands going, but he is very hittable. His takedowns are mediocre, but if a fight does end up on the ground, he's got aggressive jiu-jitsu and he hunts for submissions. He's dangerous both on top and off of his back. And while Ribeiro has a pretty well-rounded offense, he does have a quit button and he can be finished if you're the one dictating what's going on. He's coming off that submission win over DRAFTKINGS. I definitely butchered that, where the striking and the BJJ were clean, but the takedown defense was not. And Murzakanov's one of the biggest favorites on this card, and he should be. He has wrestling, he has power, he has a brick head, and watching him get blasted by Alonzo Menefield in that fight, who we know for a fact hits very hard, was awesome. Because instead of him backing up and slowing down, it triggered a second gear, and ultimately he ended up finding that finish. He didn't wilt, he didn't back up, he moved forward, he engaged, and he got it done. He should run through Brendson here, who is riding high after just a major fraud check win. So Azamat Murzakanov is the pick. I do have him in a parlay. I'll give you the other half of that parlay when we get there. Then we have another brand new addition to this fight card. We have Khaos Williams taking on Andreas Gustafsson. Both of these gentlemen have had 3 different opponents announced in the last week. I spent yesterday breaking down Khaos Williams versus some dude, some other short notice UFC dude. And then that dude posts on his Instagram, oh, I can't get my medicals done. Andreas Gustafsson loses his opponent at weigh-ins because Trevin Giles, while cutting weight, apparently fainted and hit his head. And so that fight was canceled. And like a man, Andreas went on Instagram Live and tweeted whatever you youngsters do on social media. And basically was like, I know Khaos has no opponent next week. Let me fight him. And it seems like the UFC is obliging. This hasn't been officially announced, but the UFC did tell him, stay here. We'll get this figured out for you. So that seems to be what we're working with here. Andreas Gustafsson looks like he will be fighting Khaos Williams at UFC 316, and good for him for stepping up. Good for Khaos Williams for being so flexible on his end as well, because as I mentioned, both of these guys have had 3 different opponents in the last 2 weeks. Khaos Williams is always a pretty fun guy to watch. He's never in a boring fight. He likes to walk people down. He's got a ton of power. He's got solid low kicks. He uses those low kicks to take out people's legs, slow them down, and then he'll come up top looking for a knockout. He's got power. He is durable. He's always live for a knockout. He's coming off that submission loss to Gabriel Bonfim, where he was bombing away, and it seemed like he was headhunting a bit. He's taking on Andreas Gustafsson. This guy's a solid grappler. He's got actual wrestling skills. Like most wrestlers that transition to MMA, he's going to move forward, throw a ton of strikes, big, heavy ones, try to get you against the cage so that he can shoot some takedowns. When he gets you to the ground, he's going to soften you up with elbows. He's going to look for submissions. And despite being a grappler at his core, he's got some very real power in his hands, and he's always looking for a finish. I mentioned this is a brand new matchup for this fight card. This was announced yesterday unofficially when Andreas said, I'll fight Khaos, and we knew Khaos didn't have an opponent. So when I saw that there were already odds for this fight, I was surprised. Then when I saw what the odds were, I was even a little more surprised because sure, Khaos is an established UFC veteran. He's got some very real power, but if we only look at his last fight, the loss against Bonfim, he was a guy that was 100% all in on the knockout. And without the knockout, he had nothing to offer. Andreas can be sloppy, but he's got a good chin. He's got forward pressure. He also has good grappling and wrestling. And if this was normal circumstances, full fight camp on both sides, which they did have a full fight camp, but the short notice, the opponent switches, Andreas having to cut weight, stop cutting weight, then start to cut weight again in a few days. Without all of that nonsense, I might actually pick Gustafsson here because of the pressure, because of the power in his hands, because of his lack of regard for what comes his way. But with the additional weight cut, I promise you that destroys your body. And I know Andreas may not have gotten fully down to welterweight, but he was cutting the weight. He had water loaded. He was losing that. He found out on the weigh-in day, a couple of hours before weigh-ins, that his fight was canceled. That takes a toll on your body, and this would not be the first time that we've seen someone do this, cut the weight, not be able to fight, then the next week have a pretty trash performance. This was already a tough fight with normal circumstances, with abnormal circumstances, probably a little tougher. I am going to pick Khaos Williams here, but I got to tell you, I don't love it. I don't love it. Andreas If he is perfectly fine, the double weight cut didn't matter. If he just moves forward, stays in Khaos's face, and Khaos can't plant and throw big because he's backing up, Andreas could absolutely squeak this out. So this is a very interesting matchup. I think in potential inside the distance decision, no action on Gustafsson. We'll see what the line looks like in a few days once it settles. We'll see what the prop bets look like. Andreas is absolutely 100% a live underdog. I just hate the double weight cut circumstances here, so I'm sort of handicapping him a little bit with that. Then we have Jeka Saragih taking on Ju Sang Yu. I believe this is another sort of switcherino. I thought Jeka had a different opponent, and then they brought in Ju Sang Yu. I could be 100% wrong there. And frankly, it doesn't matter because Jeka Saragih sucks at fighting. So whoever he's fighting is likely the pick, and this one's going to be no different. Ju Sang Yu is a great prospect. He's got fluid striking style. He bounces on his toes. He closes range with that wide stance. He switches from southpaw to orthodox. He mixes up where he's throwing punches, and he will walk you down. And what I'm about to say is going to sound insane. I'm going to make a comparison, but I am only comparing style and stance, not accomplishments, okay? So everybody relax. But he moves very similar to Poatan. He moves like Alex Pereira. He marches forward like this. He'll step into the head. He'll step into the body. Like he has that big movements with the wide base, and he just has that confidence when he moves forward. Insanely confident. Doesn't seem worried about what's going to come his way. And while his striking is pretty good, the striking is where he puts the most exciting performances out. He also can grapple. He's got clean takedowns and very good control. He's taking on Jeka Saragih. And while I mentioned Jeka Saragih sucks, he is exciting to watch, and he does have some very real power. He almost doesn't need to be good at anything because of how much power he has. He looks for the chin, and many times he's found it. He actually has a pretty good record considering he sucks. What's even more impressive, though, is that he has some grappling and some BJJ. He can work in some takedowns. He can find a submission if that power is not there. Overall, he actually does have some skills, but I say he sucks because he just moves forward chaotically, bombing away, laying on punches, trying to find finishes that aren't always there. He coming off that almost instant takedown and submission loss to Weston Wilson. If Jeka Saragih doesn't find a lucky punch, he's absolutely screwed, and I don't think he finds a lucky punch. Ju Sang Yu is a very real fighter. Saragih is basically a bar brawler, and because of that, Yu's going to be the pick. Unfortunately, the bookies know what's going on here, so he's a 5-1 favorite right now, but the reality is he should be a 500-1 favorite. I just do not see Ju losing this fight. I don't see it. So he's the pick, and I parlayed him with Azamat Murzakanov because the reality is they're my two most confident picks on this card. So yeah, let's take the two of them and slap them together. The odds weren't spectacular, but hey, slow and steady. Then we have an interesting heavyweight fight. We have Serghei Spivac taking on Waldo Cortes-Acosta. This line is moving. Waldo Cortes was like 120 the other day, 110. I think he's 105 now. Some books may even have him at even money. And I understand it because Waldo Cortes-Acosta is a big athletic dude. He's a fun athletic striker. He's tough as nails. He has some real power. And I would normally say that he gets flashy and he decides to dance mid-fight, but he hasn't done that in a while. He lands an impressive almost 6 significant strikes per minute. He showed us on numerous occasions how physically tough he is. And we've seen him outstrike people. We've seen him outgrapple people. Basically, all but one of his opponents, he kind of just ran through him in whatever respective style he wanted to use. He's coming off that knockout win over Ryan Spann where the size, the speed, and the athleticism were on full display. But this is an interesting fight for him because he's taking on established heavyweight Serghei Spivac. He's a grappler. He's got great ground and pound, solid submissions. His submissions are okay, right? They're solid. I'm not saying they're great. He's not a guy that you're going to get to the ground. You're like, oh shit, what's happening? But he's got decent submissions. They're there, and you do have to worry about them. He's also a capable striker. He doesn't have knockout power, but he's got a good enough jab. He's got solid volume. His biggest issue, however, on the ground is control. The reason he averages almost 5 takedowns per fight is because people are standing up on him. He is coming off of that loss to Jolton Almeida where they did exchange some takedowns. And if you looked at Waldo's sort of lone loss, you might be picking Serghei Spivac based off of that. You'd be all over Spivac because in that loss, the takedown defense didn't hold up. De Lima was able to take down Waldo Cortes in 2023 and squeak out that win. But since we have seen some pretty incredible improvements on all fronts, I'm going to ignore that fight. Spivac is unathletic. He's not very fast. Yes, he's the better grappler and better than most heavyweights, but he's lumbering. I think the speed, the power, I think Waldo's foot movement I think that side is all going to just be too much for Spivac. I'm going to lean with the athleticism here. These are heavyweights. And you get a big, strong, athletic guy that's got power in his hands, the confidence to engage in the striking. I think Waldo Cortes is going to win this fight. I threw a half a unit on him as a bet, because when I bet dogs, I only do a half a unit instead of a full. But the reality is Waldo Cortes-Acosta should absolutely win this fight, and we're going to find out how good he actually is. The guy's got a bunch of wins. He's just like sneakily doing stuff in this division. So Waldo Cortes-Acosta, underdog pick, and I bet on him. Then we have Ariane Lipski taking on Kong Wang. She is actually officially Ariane De Silva, but, you know, for graphics purposes and note-taking purposes, it's easier just to stick with Lipski. No offense to you, ma'am. I hope you're happily married and things are going well, but your original name is your name. Ariane Lipski is a decent striker. She can grapple as well. The problem with her grappling is that she needs to be the one in control. If she's on top, she's solid. If she's on her back, she struggles and she can be finished. Her striking, however, is very underrated. While she hasn't flatlined anyone, she has outstruck most people, including Jasmine Jasudavicius in her last fight. She lost that fight, but because of the ground game, not the striking. She's taking on Kong Wang. Kong Wang was a professional kickboxer who made the big giant leap to MMA. And it takes more than 4 seconds, maybe, to Google her and pull up the fact that she fought and beat Valentina Shevchenko in kickboxing. And she fights as you would expect a kickboxer to fight. She's got incredible striking, good power, good speed, and now it looks like she has a handful of offensive takedowns as well. She's coming off that lopsided win over the black eye of the fighting nerds, Bruna Brasil. And I know the gut reaction from most is going to be like, fade Lipski, fade Lipski. You people also, yeah, you people, meaning comment section people, also love commenting, just pick the ugly one. And, unfortunately, that logic might be right here. But the point is, Lipski's actually good. The grappling is her biggest issue. Her striking is very, very competitive. And this fight could be competitive because of it. In her 13 UFC fights, she has outstruck all but 3 of opponents. She's fast, she's accurate, she's clean, she can stay mobile, she avoids power coming at her. So she could have a round or even 2 rounds of success here. And ultimately, I am going to pick Kong because her power is insane. And I do think that power will add up over time. I think Lipski will feel it and then be afraid to engage because when she does, she gets hit and it hurts. But the reality is, I think Lipski could make this competitive. I'm not sure if I love the almost 4-1 odds here. But now, with that being said, I'm pretty sure I had the exact same narrative about Kong Wang versus Bruna Brasil, and she beat the shit out of her. I'm likely going to avoid this fight altogether. In theory, Kong Wang's the more accomplished striker in what should be a striking-only matchup. But I'm telling you, Ariane Lipski's like not dog shit. Like she can strike. And if she stays mobile, she strikes, she could have some success here. Then we have the featured prelim of the evening. We have Bruno Silva taking on Joshua Van. This is the little Bruno Silva, not the big one whose skull just got caved in. This Bruno Silva is a well-rounded guy. He's got solid power, strong wrestling, nasty submissions. He's literally pretty good everywhere. He's not clean. He's not technical, but he is very tough. He likes to make fights ugly. He has incredible power. He can put anyone out in this division. He started his UFC career with a bit of a skid, but he managed to string together 4 finish wins. He is now coming off that loss to Manel Kopp where the technique was just not there, but the toughness was on full display. He's taken on young prospect Joshua Van. Josh Van is a solid striker. He's got aggression. He's got a bit of power. His takedowns and scramble skills are decent. And the fact that he's only 23 years old, we're seeing wild improvements from fight to fight. He is this new generation of fighter. So even though he is primarily a striker, he's good everywhere. He can grapple as well. He does a nice job looking for things in scrambles. He makes his opponents work. He's coming off that one-sided win over Rai Tsura where he gave up a few takedowns, but he ultimately dominated the striking. Bruno Silva is tough. Bruno Silva is aggressive. But the progress that we see Josh Van make between fights is incredible. Every fight we see him in, he's cleaner, he's faster. His confidence is through the roof, and it shows inside the octagon. My one and only concern for him is his chin. And while you can't say he's historically been chinny, he did get put out, though, by Charles Johnson last year. Bruno may end up just biting down, marching forward, wild haymakers, which is probably great because Joshua Van will see those from a mile away, be the better striker, and touch him up. Could also be a little nerve-wracking if there's just power coming from a very powerful guy. Bruno is probably top 5 hardest hitters in this division. Josh is going to be the pick. The odds just continue to run away, and eventually they're going to get to unusable territory, but 5-1 favorite. I mean, it almost is in unusable territory now. What's working for us is Bruno Silva's a little sloppy. He's also 35 in a very lightweight class. So it should be Josh Van. He should be able to get it done just with clean technique and more skills. And while Josh has more skills, you'll have more money if all you do is go to wewantpicks.com/bets and use our links to sign up with any one of our affiliates. We have a couple of affiliate sportsbook partners. And if you use the link and if you sign up with any one of them, they're going to pay us commission. They're going to say, thanks, Ange, for bringing this valuable customer. And then I'm going to take some of that commission and I'm going to give it right back to you. You're going to get $50 for supporting us. wewantpicks.com/bets. Use the links on the website. Sign up, make a deposit. They'll get me money. I'll get you money. You got to use the links, though. Inevitably. Every week. Hey, where's my $50 bonus? And then I'll look it up. I don't see it in the affiliate portal. Are you sure you used the link? No, but I used the promo code. We don't have promo codes. Got to be the link. And honestly, I think somebody else out there has a WWP promo code, and they're getting the money. Use the links, damn it, and we'll give you a nice little bonus. Guys, I mentioned the tools on the website. Some of you just like to watch for entertainment value, and I appreciate you. Some of you want to become premium members to copy-paste. You don't want to have to think. I appreciate you. Others of you like the tools, right? Teach a man to fish. Like, your insight's good, but I got to, it's my money. I got to do my own research, place my own bets. And I'm going to use your tools, and I appreciate you as well. One of those tools is the Fight Simulator. We added this tool a couple of months ago, and we just added enhancements to it last week. The enhancements we added are average lines. So now you'll run the simulations. It'll run these fighters through 100,000 simulations, and you'll see the lines in the graph for wins, losses, and average. And then you'll see the vertical line. So if I'm looking at significant strikes, for example, it'll say, hey, this fighter, in an average of all the wins and losses, is expected to land around 50 significant strikes. You can then take that number, go to Prize Picks, go to Underdog, go to your favorite sports book, and see what they have the significant strike line at. And we've been using this for Prize Picks and Underdog, and it's been absolutely spectacular. Last week, we ran it, we looked at it, and it said, hey, 77% of the time, this fighter goes over this number. So we went ahead, we bet the over, and it hit. Fight Simulator is a wildly valuable tool that can do a whole lot of things. The tape index is another tool that helps you do your own research. Some of you like to watch the fights. You want to go through Mario Batista's fight history. Did he really lose that fight to Jose Aldo? I know people keep saying it, but did he? Well, if you go to the tape index and you pull up Mario Batista and you'll see his fight against Jose Aldo and you click the little red play button, it'll pop up. You can watch that fight. We also have the brand new DraftKings Optimizer. This builds DraftKings fantasy lineups for you. It does everything you would expect an optimizer to do. What it also does is it has a brand new beginner mode. This is the first in this industry. Go to any one of the giant DFS companies. Nobody has what we're calling the beginner mode. When I told the developer that we wanted something like this, I said, build it like TurboTax. TurboTax takes something very complicated, U.S. tax law, and instead of expecting you to know it all, it just asks you logical questions. Like, hey, you got a job? Did you happen to buy a house this year? And depending on your answer to those logical questions, it'll do your taxes for you. Same thing with the optimizer. Depending on your answer for like, who's your confident favorite, who's a confident dog, it will build your DraftKings fantasy lineups for you. Check out the optimizer. Check out all the other tools, not only on the website, but inside the app. On the website, it's wewantpicks.com. It's freaking $10. Inside the app, it's only $10 as well. And the app will give you push notifications. Just search We Want Picks in the App Store. Make sure push notifications are turned on because when we place bets, you get a notification on your phone immediately. And if you like the bet, great. You can hop on it before the line goes crazy. If you don't, you put your phone down. Who gives a shit? WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. Here's a look at what you will get for that $10. It is a full month. And in that full month, what the hell is today's date? Oh, please hold. Today is the 31st. I told you I'm filming this on Saturday. May 31st. You'll have full access to June 31st. So you'll actually have a few days after UFC 317 when we already have the picks and bets up for the card after that. 2 pay-per-view events in this stretch. If you never signed up, now's the month. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. And a reminder, I will be at UFC 317. Come say hi. That's me. If you're wondering what the fuck I get the 317, what's the Ron Swanson? Well, I mentioned I'm filming this early because it's my birthday. So yay to me. Probably going to get drunk today. Don't know if you're going to get a recap for UFC Vegas 107. Don't know what condition I'll be in tomorrow morning, which is when I normally film this breakdown. But I'm filming it early, sober, laser focused. But that's probably what I look like while you're watching this right now. Actually, while you're watching this right now, I'm probably in bed shaking. That's what I look like during the day today. Ron Swanson dancing his ass off. Anyway, I'll be at UFC 317. If you want to say hi, I'll buy you a beer. Appreciate literally every last one of you. The only reason we have the following we have is because you guys choose to watch and choose to click the button. Some of you choose to leave hate comments, and, you can go fucking jump off a bridge for all I give a shit. But the nice ones, come say hi. My wife will be with me. Do not embarrass me in front of my wife. Don't do it. Okay? Be cool. If you're with a chick, I'll say nice things about you. Do the same for me. UFC 317 is a vlog. UFC 316 is a vlog as well. You want to send something for the vlog? We want pics. P.O. Box 406, Prosper, Texas, 75078. Opening up the UFC 316 main card, we have Mario Batista taking on UFC newcomer Patchy Mix. We got a new matchup here. Mario was supposed to fight Chito Vera, but Chito dropped, and instead of slapping some random-ass local or contender series fighter, they went out and they scooped up what is probably the biggest free agent in this division, and that's Patchy Mix. This is an exciting fight. I'm looking forward to this fight, so let's go ahead and break it down. We'll start with Mario Batista, high-volume guy. He does have a take one to give one kind of style in his striking, but he sets a nice pace. He's always plodding forward. And while he is light on his feet, he has been steadily evolving as well. In his last few fights, he's been doing quite well. 7-fight win streak, but I'm in denial. We're going to call it a 6-fight win streak because I don't think he beat Jose Aldo. But here we are. He has worked in 12 takedowns in that 7-fight win streak. He is coming off that close but wrong decision over Jose Aldo. He's taking on Patchy Mix. Patchy Mix might be a new name to some of you, but to the hardcore MMA fans, you know who he is and why he's the favorite here. Patchy's the former Bellator world champion, who not only won the Bellator tournament, but also the actual championship, and he defended that belt twice before asking for his release after the PFL scooped them up. Style-wise, he's a nasty grappler. He not only will get the takedowns, but he will hunt for submission. He is long, and he is lean, and he uses that length to wrap things up. In his 20 wins, 15 of them are by stoppage. 13 of those 15 stoppages are submissions, and that just tells you how dangerous this guy is on the ground. And this is a great win-win situation for the UFC. Either Patchy comes in here and loses, and the UFC gets to humble brag about how the champions and other promotions can't hold a candle to the UFC guys, or Patchy wins, and they've got some fresh juice in this division. Despite these odds, this feels like a really tough fight to pick. Mario's very good. He's got very high-level wins. His last fight felt like a bad decision, but the reality is he pushed the pace. He stayed in there with one of the best to ever do it. Patchy's a very dangerous grappler, but that's almost it. He's pretty one-dimensional. If Mario's able to defend the takedowns, he actually should win the striking exchanges and win this fight. I am going to pick Patchy, though. If you've watched this channel before, you know that I have a show on this channel called Bad Takes with Josh Thompson, former Strikeforce world champion Josh Thompson. The only person to ever knock out Nate Diaz, Josh Thompson. Him and I did an entire breakdown of who Patchy even is. And Josh's confidence in Patchy and how good he is and how he's going to dominate here is pretty contagious. So I'm going to pick Patchy Mix here. He is a phenomenal wrestler, and maybe there's some MMA karma coming Mario Batista's way because I do not think he won that last fight. Here's the thumbnail for that fight where Josh and I talk about Patchy. If you're not familiar with who Patchy is, we go pretty in-depth about who he is, how he fights, his style, all of that. Check out this thumbnail. It might literally be called, I forget the subject. It might just be, Who's Patchy Mix? Just search Patchy Mix Bad Take. Just search Angelo We Want Picks, tall, handsome, thick with 2 C's. The video will come up. Then we have Vicente Luque taking on Kevin Holland. Unreliable, but always exciting, Kevin Holland. This is a pretty interesting fight because both of these guys are skilled and accomplished, and both of them are 2-3 in their last 5 that have been having a hard time as of late. Vicente Luque, pretty solid everywhere. He's got power in his hands. He's got good wrestling defense. He's got fantastic submissions. He's got good wrestling offense. At the end of the day, he is a striker, though. He's looking to bang it out on the feet. He is seemingly aging out of the UFC, but he's only 33 years old despite having fought such high-level competition for so long. He's coming off that submission win over Temba Garimbo, where despite only landing 2 significant strikes, the striking is actually what set up the finish. He's taking on Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland is an accurate and powerful striker who has struggled and continues to struggle with takedown defense. But If he does get taken down, which is almost inevitable, he's got solid jiu-jitsu and solid grappling. Other than the wrestling defense, Kevin can be a problem for a lot of people. He's a sniper on the feet. He's got great accuracy, good range. He can also grapple really well and be competitive on the ground because of his length. He's coming off that decision win over Gunnar Nelson, where the BJJ was slick and the striking almost got him the finish. But my question to you is, haven't we been down this road before? Haven't we done this before with Kevin? He loses a few, gets a decent win. We all convince each other in some weird MMA circle jerk that he's championship caliber. The reality is that Kevin is a good striker and a solid grappler, but he does not give a shit. He doesn't care enough to trust. Now, Kevin Holland at 170 is a much more reliable guy because at the very least, he has to be in the gym preparing so he can cut the weight. But a guy who has been in the UFC for this long, at this level, and still has this poor of takedown defense is not a guy that you can trust at more than a 2-1 favorite over somebody as established as Vicente Luque. I picked Kevin in his last fight against Gunnar, but that's because Gunnar shows up once a year, once every 2 years for a paycheck. That's not Vicente. Vicente, even on the back nine of his career, is a dangerous guy who can fight everywhere. We're only a year removed from his win over Rafael Dos Anjos, where he looked like a Nurmagomedov. Just 10% of that wrestling in this fight should get Vicente to win. I'm going to pick Vicente. I do love Kevin. I don't know if I could bet against Kevin, and I've picked Kevin many, many times before. But Vicente Luque is going to be the pick here. At least you can trust him to do what he's supposed to do. Kevin, halfway through this shit, might just start laughing and not care. Accepting takedowns, slapping and smiling, doing thumbs up. Can't trust that. Vicente Luque is the pick. Then we have the rebooked Kelvin Gastelum versus Joe Pyfer. This is supposed to happen back at UFC Mexico, but Joe got the squirts and the fight was canceled. The good news is that after Joe got the squirts and nobody else on his team did, he decided to say horrible things about Mexico and Mexican people. Instead of just acknowledging you have the stomach of a small child. Sorry you had diarrhea, Joe. Not the Mexican people's fault. Nobody else managed to shit themselves leading up to weigh-ins. But this fight is effectively the exact same breakdown I gave you last time. Kelvin Gastelum might be an all-time waste of talent. He's a great wrestler, very good striker. He's got a granite chin. He's capable of being in an absolute dogfight. The problem is he has no work ethic whatsoever. And we've seen that in life, right? The most talented kid isn't always the hardest working kid. And that's basically what we have with Kelvin Gastelum. He's missed weight multiple times. He bounces around random weight classes. A couple of years ago when he was with Henry Cejudo, it looked like this dude was going to dial in and be somebody real at 170 pounds. But that's not what happened. He just got fat again, missed weight, and here he is at 185 pounds. He's coming off that dogfight win over Daniel Rodriguez where he did miss weight, but he also wrestled more than usual. Joe Pyfer on the other side of this cage is an incredibly powerful striker. He's got slick BJJ in his back pocket. He hits like an absolute truck. He uses pressure to break people. He also has nice clean takedowns if he needs them and solid BJJ. He's coming off that Turkish touch-up for the hairline and a bounce-back win over Marc-Andre Barrault where his power was on full display. And before you decide you hate Joe Pyfer because he's a real negative Nancy, miserable prick, which he is, let me remind you, can't really go down that Kelvin Gastelum path because unironically, he released a vlog called Missing Weight before his last fight. And he thought it was going to be clever. I'm going to eat some food. We'll call it Missing Weight. And then he quite literally missed weight. This guy doesn't care about his career. He's fun. He's excited. He's talented. He'll come in there. You can expect him to fight. But he doesn't actually care. If he cared, he'd do train. So the issue here is that while Kelvin Gastelum could absolutely win this fight, and Kelvin Gastelum's got a granite chin, and Joe Pyfer might get frustrated over time if he's landing big punches on Kelvin and they do nothing, you can't trust Kelvin. Kelvin's got the better wrestling between the two of them. Kelvin has just as much power. Kelvin's got a fire hydrant for a head. But Joe Pyfer should win this fight. As long as Joe is not expecting a quick knockout and then getting frustrated when he doesn't get it, Joe should win this fight. And because of that, Joe's going to be the pick. 4-1 favorite. Here's the problem. Those odds are not how decisive the win is. The odds are just, does he win or not? And I do think he wins. So the odds honestly probably make sense. 4-1 favorite? Yeah, those odds probably make sense. Do I think this is an easy cakewalk win? No, I do not. Then we have the co-main event of the evening. Juliana Pena defending her belt for the first time after winning it for the second time. Juliana Pena is a two-time world champion, and she's taking on Olympic gold medalist Kayla Harrison. This should be a really fun fight. Juliana Pena, as we all know, beat Amanda Nunes in an absolute stunner. Then she lost that belt in a rematch in one of the worst beatings we've ever seen in our lives, took a 2-year break, came back, and just won the belt again. She showed the world exactly how tough she is on numerous occasions, and she intends to do it again here. Technique-wise, Juliana is pretty well-rounded, solid everywhere, not amazing at anything. And she will make up for those skill gaps with a dirty, gritty fight. She'll get in your face, she'll move forward. A little sloppy, but it doesn't matter because the forward pressure, the aggression, her never-say-die attitude, the willingness to get in your face stops her opponents from falling into a rhythm and continuing to pile on the success. She's not usually the most skilled fighter, but she is almost always the tougher one. She's taking on Kayla Harrison. Kayla Harrison is quite literally the most accomplished American judoka of all time. Think about Ronda Rousey and her accomplishments, except Ronda was a bronze medalist in the Olympics. Kayla Harrison was a gold medalist in the Olympics. Not just one, two-time Olympic gold medalist, multiple-time world champion. She has been an American top team for a few years, and that has only added skills to her arsenal. She's absolutely tremendous physically. She is rock solid. Her striking's not great, but she is powerful, and she uses it to set up takedowns. She's coming off that win over Ketlen Vieira, where despite being a very straightforward win, it's like, all right, she's got to clean some things up. This fight could quite literally look like the Juliana Pena-Amanda Nunes fight. What happened in that fight, right? Juliana Pena took an absolute insane beating. She survived. And even though she's unlikable, she's tough. And then she rallied to win because Nunes was so gassed. Kayla is massive. She could absolutely slow down as this fight goes on. She's also very good and could dominate early. This could quite literally be an exact repeat of Juliana beating Amanda Nunes. But I have to imagine that anyone picking Pena here is not going to talk about Pena's actual skills. They're only going to talk about Kayla gassing. That's the Homer Simpson game plan. And unfortunately, that's not an actual strategy inside of a fight or picking fights. So I'm going to go with the Olympic judo gold medalist to get a few throws in, control on top, and win this fight. The idea that she can't fight for 25 minutes is a little misguided because the reality is she has fought for 25 minutes before. I don't think Pena won her last fight. And just like the Mario Batista breakdown, maybe the MMA gods will be looking after us and Kayla Harrison will get the decision here. She may slow down. She may give up the 4th and 5th round, but as long as she wins the first 3, we're cruising. Kayla Harrison's going to be the pick. Obviously, the odds are insane. I would say these odds are actually too wide. I'm picking Kayla. But Juliana is like, she's not going to quit at any point. So to have her as this big of an underdog, knowing for a fact that for 25 minutes she will be moving forward trying to win this fight, seems a little wide. So I'm probably not going to be betting on Kayla Harrison here, but we'll see. Maybe these odds tighten. Then we have the main event of the evening. Merab Dvalishvili rematching Sean O'Malley and defending his belt for the second time. First fight was pretty straightforward. We'll see if this one's going to be as well. Merab Dvalishvili, as we all know, a non-stop chain wrestler. Striking's just okay. The cardio, however, is insane. He times his takedowns really well, and even if he doesn't, who gives a shit? There's another takedown right behind. Guy's going to move forward, never stop shooting. He averages an insane 6 takedowns per 15 minutes, and his last loss was all the way back in 2018. His gas tank is insane. His willingness to stick to that game plan is insane. You could say he's got a little bit of a suspect chin. We've watched him have some trouble at times. Henry Cejudo notably had him on ice skates. But the reality is this dude's going to move forward no matter what. He's coming off that decision win over Umar Nurmagomedov where he dropped the early rounds but then took over with that patented nonstop pressure. Taking on Sean O'Malley. As we all know at this point, he's a very good striker. He's got some real power. He's got some accuracy. He is athletic despite the general look and feel of this guy. He pretty much does whatever he wants to on his feet, including a wide array of kicks and spinning techniques that actually land. We know he can be a dog. We saw that in the Petr Yan fight. And we know he can fight technical. His biggest asset is the accuracy and his ability to use that very long reach to touch people up at distance. He's coming off that loss to Merab. He has not fought since then. He was taken down 6 times and his strikes were doubled. I think we have something of a Mandela effect going on with their first matchup between these two. Every week that goes by, I hear more and more people talk about, well, Sean did pretty well. He won 2 rounds. And then people started arguing he actually may have won a third round. And that's all bullshit. I don't think that happened. I think that is a figment of our imagination. The reality is that their first fight was very straightforward. It was a very clean, easy win for Merab. And none of us were sitting there waiting for the decision, like, what's going to happen? The patented pressure, the wrestling, the cardio had Sean basically frozen in space. Of course, he had his moments. It's a 25-minute fight. He had his moments. And I think the exact same thing is going to happen here. I honestly think the Sean O'Malley camp knows this as well. They went from calling Merab a midget and playing with little dolls to saying he's the division's GOAT on every single platform they can, podcast after podcast. Sean, his coach, oh, Merab's the GOAT. Merab's the GOAT. Why are you saying that? You're saying that to get ahead of the fact that you think you're going to lose. I don't think their first fight was close. I don't think enough has changed between the first fight and this one for this to even be a rematch. That wasn't close enough to dictate a rematch. Sean O'Malley has done nothing since then. I'd rather watch Sean O'Malley versus Sandhagen and Merab versus somebody else. Maybe Merab versus Sandhagen and Sean O'Malley versus a new matchup. Sean O'Malley basically had a gifted road to the title. And credit to him, he won the title. He won it fair and square by finish. But I don't think there's enough improvements here to win a fight that he lost just 8 months ago. Marab Dvalishvili is going to be the pick. I'm not worried about the toe nonsense. Don't copy the toe stuff. I don't care about the toe. It doesn't matter. Sean, friggin' Merab won his last fight. It wasn't his shin, like, exploding. Those little injuries do not matter to Merab. Nothing's changed here. Merab's going to win this fight just like he won the last fight. 3-1 odds honestly feel like a gift. Guys, that's the breakdown. Thanks for hanging out. And now that you're done watching me, go download the app. Just search We Want Picks in the App Store. It is 100% free. Download the app, turn on push notifications, and you will get push notifications when we place bets. And we'll notify you when things happen. Inside of the app, you'll have access to all the tools, including the Fight Simulator. The Fight Simulator is going to simulate fights 100,000 times. It's going to take those 100,000 simulations and not only give you the outputs of how often they're winning and who's winning, but also how many strikes are expected to be landed, takedowns, control time, fantasy points. All of that information is inside the simulator, and you can use that data to go to your favorite book or wherever you would like. We also have the tape index. The tape index is going to give you full fight history for every one of those fighters. And if there's a little red play button, you click that button and the video pops up. You can watch that fight. ESPN just deleted thousands of historical UFC videos. Thousands of them. But your boys got you covered. We've updated everything. Fully up and running. You could watch the tape. We have the brand new Optimizer. Optimizer not only does normal Optimizer stuff, but has the industry-first beginner mode that will walk you through logical questions about how to use the Optimizer or ask you questions about the fights so we can just build lineups for you. We have the Data Analyzer. The Data Analyzer has every single data point you could ever want, need, or imagine for each fighter. Then you can stack the data on top of each other to figure out a narrative. If you're trying to figure out significant strikes landed in a loss, so you can go to your favorite sports book and bet the over or under. You can stack those filters and do that here. Full fight history for every fighter, full data points for every fighter throughout their entire career, all of it available inside of the Data Analyzer. We have a line movement tracker. This is going to give you the opening odds, current odds, win probability, and line movement for every fighter on every card. The Prop Hunter, a curated set of data specifically designed to help you find prop bets. And we have more than just big, beautiful Ange. We got Bet Sam giving you his slam of the week and all of his bets. We've got Artem breaking down not only UFC fight cards, but regional fight cards as well. And then we have an artificial intelligence picking fights based solely off of historical data. Every single thing I just mentioned, 15 other things I didn't mention, all available right now in one single package. No upsells, no tiers, no nonsense. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. It's only $10 and you unlock the world. Thanks for being here, guys. I genuinely appreciate every last one of you. I hope I get to see some of you at UFC 317. And in the meantime, good luck this weekend.